Welcome to the In My Opinion show with Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends, seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. I want to introduce Mrs. Jackie Williams.
Hello, everyone.
And Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hello, Ron.
And welcome to our viewing audience. Let's talk about gun violence in America. The framers of the Constitution put the Second Amendment provision in place to protect its citizens. Should our Second Amendment be abolished, especially since our nation has experienced such horrific violence, the latest in Las Vegas? 59 killed in Las Vegas, 5 in Orange County, Florida, 5 killed Fort Lauderdale, Burlington, Washington, San Francisco, Florida, 14 killed in San Bernardino, Colorado Springs, Roseburg, Oregon, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Charleston, South Carolina, at Baptist Church where 9 parishioners were murdered, Fort Hood, Texas, Washington, D.C., Santa Monica, California, Newtown, Connecticut. This is nationwide, people. These horrendous acts are unconscionable, okay? But does that mean that our Second Amendment should be abolished? I don't think so, okay? According to published reports, there are over 300 million guns in circulation in the United States. America is one of the largest producers of weapons in the world. Jackie, what is your thoughts?
Well, we have several situations going on here with the Second Amendment. I know that there was some provisions to remove some of the regulations, and I believe it was where you were mentally ill, you were automatically turned down for a weapon. And from what I understand, they passed it. They relieved that. They removed that restraint last year or the beginning of this year. And so what they were saying is that we're not saying that you should not be able to have, I don't think our forefathers had the interpretation that you would have weapons to destroy other people. You would have weapons because that was your right, but not to destroy mankind. So what I was listening to the other day, they said Australia had the same situation, and back in, I believe it's 1996, don't quote me, I think it's 96.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, they removed, they made a restriction where you could not have weapons, automatic weapons anymore, and they have not had a mass killing since 1996. So it seems as though if we were serious about reducing these issues, that we would make some restrictions. And what they said was temporarily is hot. It's a hot topic when people are talking about who died, and then it quickly dies down because the NRA have bought several of our congressmen, and they're to brush it over. Like they said, Mitch McConnell stated last week that this is not the time to try to bring up new laws for gun violence. Well, if it's not now, when? I mean, this was the largest shooting that we've had. And going back to the actual shooting, they were talking about some things that we could have in place that are just basic. The hotel that he was staying in, they said that there is no metal detectors that could have detected all of these weapons, because I think they found how many in a hotel room? Over that was in a home. So he had quite a bit.
About 20 was.
Yeah, he brought quite a bit in the hotel, but had they had a metal detector, that could have stopped some issues or whatever. So we could do like some basic things to kind of tighten up our situation. And we can't just let it be hot and then stop talking about it. We have to pursue it. You have to give up your lobbyists, and you have to do what's right for American people, because people died at the hands of this man, and he was looking for bigger venues. So he didn't have a history of mental background, but he acquired quite a bit of guns, and I think that's another basic thing we could do as well. When someone is acquiring all of these guns, I mean, what do you use automatic weapons for? I mean, so when you're acquiring all these weapons, somebody should ask the question, or let somebody know this guy is acquiring quite a bit of weapons, because they even said it when he went there. Oh yeah, he buys weapons all the time. Well, why are you buying weapons? And then maybe that should be our base too. So it's certain things that we can do to eliminate this problem, but do we really want to? Or do we just want to cry when it happens?
I don't think we want to really deal with the Second Amendment, and take guns from folks, because that will require Congress to do a whole lot of work. All right, and it would take to change the Constitution, this constitutional amendment. What is it? 36 states or something like that.
Yeah, 39.
To overturn,
Right.
it, and that's not going to happen. So I think we're just whistling in the wind, and and unfortunately, people are dying.
Right.
That's the unfortunate part about it. Okay, but me personally, I don't want to see guns taken away out of the home or away from anybody, because all that does is leave an avenue for the army, the police to come in and do whatever they want to do, all right, to the general public, and I don't think we want that, all right. Henry, what do you think?
Well, I agree with Jackie that there are some circumstances on which people should not have the right to own guns.
Sure.
If they're unstable, if they're violent, if they do seditious things, talk against our government with guns. That sounds bad. And when the frame of the Constitution put these issues together, the Bill of Rights, they had hoped that guns would be used for obtaining food, and the people lived far away from center cities where they were protected by the presence of people. But when you live out on the prairie and you face predators, both human predators and wild animals, you need a gun. You need to know how to protect yourself. And that was always a present danger for them. It was a good reason to have a gun. I think they thought through this and they did a good thinking about it. But then there's another clandestine reason that the framers of the Constitution wanted to have a gun. They couldn't trust government. And people are hanging on to that idea that you can't trust the government. That's why you have all of these satellite strong gun controlling organizations in the Thumb and in Tennessee and all of these places. People are armed. As you said, they had 300,000 guns in this country.
300 million.
300 million guns in this country. That's scary. They have, by an order of 10, more guns than constables, county police, the sheriff, the state police, and the militias that we have, the state militias, and the federal government. Got all of that protection to protect the individual, and yet you go out and do double duty and give people guns. And most of these guns are bought by personal belief, to be used by bullies, to intimidate other people. And the framers of the Constitution did not want that. And I don't foresee any day that I would take up a gun against the government. This is my country. And sure, there was a time back in the old days, they militarized men and women who lived on the frontier as soldiers.
Right.
Yeah. So you had to be ready to protect the threshold of your community against insurgents. They could be British, they could be French, they could be Indians, they could be Russians, or all of those other countries that were here. That made sense. But today, who are we afraid of?
Well, even while you were talking, I'm thinking about even just safety. We're just not even doing the safety things, because I believe it was this week when a 4-year-old obtained her grandmother's
Yeah.
purse and it was a gun in there, wasn't on safety and shot herself. Or last year when a lady was going through Walmart, she had her purse, the little girl went in the purse and blew her head off. I just think that we have lost focus of what's important. We need to, if you have a right to bear arms, I'm fine with that, but you should have a responsibility to be safe. And at your right to bear arms, it should not be dangerous for people around you because you're not doing the safety.
But you got all of these authorities, armed authorities that protect you every day.
They're
Every day.
supposed to protect you.
Well, they do. They can't protect you from every particular incident because they can't protect everybody the same way. So there's some risk, and that's just living. Just being alive and being human, the risk that we take to be in that kind of situation.
Well, then maybe people probably wouldn't have a big thing with guns if the people who were in position to protect us really was protecting all the people.
Well, they do it to the degree possible. You know, yeah,
No.
yes.
You have a
Well, I'm
lot
not
of
going to
renegades.
debate you on
You
that.
have a lot of renegade cops.
No,
law
because
enforcement.
there is a lot of abuse and in power, and so
Where
you
does
know,
power come from? How's power entered in this kind of
because
thing?
people in authority
the
have guns.
unless-
People in authority have guns.
I don't come out and shoot people at random. Don't only in and that's
Henry, where have you been? How many cases do we have that are pending that the police have gotten off for shooting unarmed people who you said to protect themselves? Well, these people didn't even have a gun, but they thought they saw a gun, something that looks like a gun, and they shoot 7 to 8 times. This is why people
I'm
don't
not defending
trust.
that argument.
Yeah, that's why people
Nobody
don't
does.
trust.
Anybody that's of sound common mind and
Well, this is
that
what I'm saying.
would
This
not
is why the
support an
trust
argument.
is not there, is because people in power abuse their situation and they're using guns to, like you said, bullying, and they're using them to intimidate people. So this is why people feel the need to always have some type of protection.
But just the very fact that we have guns drives conflict between us.
And if we didn't have guns,
If
there
we-
would be more conflict.
Because
okay.
people,
Because you can eliminate your adversary.
That's
Yes.
right.
And that's the intent of the gun, is to eliminate an adversary, right?
Right. And sometimes
Why
these
do we
law
need that? We got
enforcement
the
are
police for that.
Sometimes they are our adversaries.
Right.
Yeah, but
All right.
many times.
you mean to
And
take
you don't-
up arms against the government?
Yes.
If necessary, if that's what
No,
the
I
hand
don't- I
calls
don't-
for, if necessary, I'm not
Advocating for that,
advocating
right.
it. But
But
what
you-
I'm saying is that when you get backed into a corner,
Right.
all right, and you feel you're being unjustly backed into the corner, you want to fight.
That's because you have a gun. But
Okay.
if you didn't have the gun, you wouldn't want to fight.
Well,
You say,
You
yes,
get-
sir, what can I do for you, sir?
No,
No,
but how
no,
many
you-
times have you seen the video?
I know,
Where
that-
they
that-
don't have a gun, they're on
I
the
know.
ground.
I can't argue that for you.
This is what I'm saying. It's abuse of power, and change starts at the top. If we can see the police officers come out and really do what they take an oath to do, to really protect and serve, then we can let our guard down to not try to go up against them unless we have that criminal mind. But I'm talking about regular citizens, upright citizens.
But there are many people in this country that don't approve of that, black and white, of shooting people down without cause.
But I bet it's less people that feel like that are not prompted by the actions of somebody who's abusing power.
Well,
It has to be a drive. You know what I mean? You have to get to the root of the cause. So it has to be a drive.
and how do we do that?
Well-
The Bible hasn't been able to do it.
Well,
Churches can't do
No,
it.
I'm saying you
And
go to
guns can't do
if
it.
you start at the top and you say to the police officers, there is There is repercussions for you abusing your position. You will go to jail. Not you will be found not guilty, and you'll get to shoot some more people. And they even introduced legislation the other day where it says that your police record will be tied to you even if you go to another department, because that's something they haven't done, and I didn't realize that. Is that if I was a police officer and I had a bad shooting, or I had some issues with pulling people over and being overly aggressive, that record would not follow me in my career. But now that record is going to be tied to your career. So some of the police officers that hop city to city to do that abusive thing, they're no longer going to be able to do it. So it's some things in work, but there's many more that needs to go forward.
That's a good thing. That's
Well,
a good thing.
I just don't think that we can do it by challenging the police. We have to do it some other way. Policemen are very, very vital.
Of
to our
course, nobody's
community. Hang on, let me come in.
suggesting that they're not.
Let me get my point out and then attack me. And I know that each one of us feel that way, okay? And I'm not trying to berate you in any way that you don't feel that way. But now knowing that you have a basis to stand on, to challenge the police, knowing that you support their existence, you support their reasons for doing what they do. But to the power element that you talk about, the people upstairs who direct the police activities, those are the ones that we need to get to through legislation.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't see that as
Also, the Constitution says you have a right to protect yourself, regardless of whomever it might be. So if you feel like your life is at risk, okay, because of a cop, you got a right to protect yourself.
how are you going to prove that?
It's in the
Let's stick
Constitution.
together.
It's in the Constitution.
Constitution,
all right?
I know the Constitution.
All right, it's in the
They stick
Constitution.
together.
You have a right to, if you feel you feel like your life is in imminent danger, you have a right to protect yourself by any means
Have you ever
necessary.
heard that police departments protect their people even if they are guilty?
Of
or-
course.
Yes.
It happens
So
all the
whatever.
time.
Yes.
Okay, then how are you going to fight something like that? That's a system.
No, that's if you decide not to fight the system. More and more people are fighting the system because of the injustice. All right?
Right.
And I applaud those people that do that. My thing is this, which I've said it on this show before. If you got a gun, if you got guns, and you've obtained them legally, if you can get some more, get them.
Well, back to the power. Jeff Sessions, perfect example. He's rolling back every protective source we have. Like there was a protection in the workforce where you just couldn't outwardly fire anybody that was a part of the LBGT or anything like that. Well, he just rolled that back. He just went and rolled back the transgender in the military. So things that were protected, so you knew you couldn't touch, those are now being unprotected. And so now what do
He
you
can't do that by himself. He can rule on it, but that
But
doesn't
what
mean
I'm
that-
saying is there's repercussions to him doing these rollbacks. And this is what he's doing. He's rolling back all of the protection that we had. The protection of if I am different, I can be different and I still can hold my job. This is what I'm talking about. There's root causes to these things. People are feeling some kind of way. And of course, there's mental issues that you can't address because it just can be anything. But what I'm saying is there is people in power that are doing things that make people uncomfortable. Rulings of injustice, as he was speaking of, and people being able to shoot without having any kind of repercussion behind it. So that makes us be, a little bit more aggressive with our guns. People like a Jeff Sessions that's rolling back every protective order that would protect the American people just so that they'll be able to do what they want to do.
Yeah, but the law has to provide constructs for the system to survive. And when you say that he's rolled back a lot of this, it's not rolled back to get at any particular segment of the society. It's to maintain the law. the law as they exist. You got to have police determinations and attorney general determinations all the time, judge determinations to define what the law is, because the law cannot operate differently under different
Okay,
circumstances.
so when you say that, how can you say that when there had to be a reason why the LBGT had to be protected? Because why? Because statistics show that they were targeted at their job. If you look different, if you didn't look like the regular people, then you were targeted at your job to be different, and you found yourself unemployed. Well, they protected that. So now you're telling me that he's rolling that back, and that's not going to have a repercussion to the people that live that
Those people
lifestyle?
have to be protected under law. Businesses have shop rules, they have work rules, and theirs may be different than the law. And until the law brings it to bear that it forces people who own businesses to follow it, then this is what you're always going to get. Whatever the Attorney General wants, that's what he's going to get until you, through legislation, change that. And of
Until
course-
something like this happens, because just use that scenario with me. Hypothetically speaking, I'm in the military. I have served. I have been injured, and I'm a transgender. All of a sudden, you rule that I cannot be in the military. That I'm not worthy to be in the military. You think that don't bring any type of animosity between when you're ruling that I can no longer serve when I've been injured in the
I don't know
military?
whether I have seen nothing that forced transgenders out of the military.
They
There's
just
talked.
they're talking about removing them out of the military.
They're talking about it, but nothing's been done yet.
But
But why would they even talk about it?
Well, because someone has contested it. I don't know who.
But what I'm saying is, if I was in that situation, you think I'm not up in
yeah.
arms?
I
What I'm
understand
saying
that.
is that cause for emotionally distress,
yeah.
and that's when people
But
attack.
but you have to wait until the law and the courts make a
If
decision.
I'm emotionally upset, am I thinking?
You can go out and pick up a gun and kill
That's what I'm
59
saying.
people, right?
But what
No, you
I'm
can't.
saying is,
No, you
it
can't.
says you're not supposed to provoke.
Well,
Those are provoking things.
how many things have provoked you during your life as a citizen in this country? How many things? Have you ever been provoked before? Ask me if I've been provoked.
But the difference
Ask
is
him if he's been
you
provoked.
have limitations. Everybody doesn't have limitations, and you're thinking like everybody thinks like you, and you can't say that because
I didn't say that.
It depends on how you were
But I
raised.
say
that
you
have
don't.
limitations.
You don't have a right to pick up a gun and go out and kill 59 people.
If I'm raised in a house with people who are aggressive and
Yeah.
they use guns to resolve my issues, as they call it street justice, I'm going to pick up a gun because
See, there
that's
you
what
are.
I've been taught.
That's why the man has the 59 guns. He fears you.
No, he killed.
He knows that there are bullies out there.
He killed 58 people.
Yeah, 58 people. Well, you know,
Those weren't bullies, they were at a concert.
this is kind of mindset that keeps this going. If you buy a gun, somebody else buys a gun.
Right.
You buy a bigger gun, he goes buy a bigger gun. And it goes on and on and on. And we never can seem to bring back sanity and justice in everything that we do because we have that mindset. We're going to survive at any cost. Damn anybody else. But we're going to survive.
That's true.
That's the mentality of gunman.
Okay, not
And when it
necessarily.
happened in the West, the cowboys, everybody had a gun. And they learned how to swivel it around and shoot straight and
You've been
pick out the eyes and
People
what.
watching
too many
Wild
Westerns.
Wild
Now, stop
West.
and think about it. The American people fell in love with guns. They've always been in love with guns. And now the guns just come back to bears and
I think
create a
I think some
situation.
people believe it equals power. Like you said, it's like a bully. It's a power because some people live for their gun.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Their gun cabinet.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Have you seen my collection?" And that's what they said about this guy that did the shooting. They said he had a collection out of this world.
See, I have no problem with people owning guns. But I do have a problem with what they do with their guns. I do.
Right, right.
No
Well, that's the
intimidation,
problem.
no threats, no illegal shootings, no picking on the weaklings and stuff like that by the power or the authorities. That's what I'm against.
But is that the normal, typical behavior of somebody who aggressively owns guns, is that how they feel, and is that how they treat people?
I don't know how they feel, but I know once they pick up a gun and shoot somebody, we need to handle those people and give them one behind the ear or whatever.
Well, we need
Now,
to
who's
handle.
talking about violence?
See, you just flipped out. See how? Do you
Well,
have a gun?
I
Because
just
we need
don't
to
think.
take yours.
I didn't mean that, guys.
Yes, you-
No, I didn't. I was just chiding. But those people need to be handled by the authorities.
And guess what? Even the people in position.
Yeah.
Need to
Even
be
the people in
handled.
position,
Even the
especially.
people in position that have abused power need to be handled, and then that would comfort people who have guns to
Yeah.
know that somebody is resolving the issues and they don't have to take justice into their own hands.
And there needs to be more training about how guns work and what you use them for.
Yes.
Unless you want to join the military. And I would encourage anybody who want a gun and want to shoot guns to join the military. We can use them as cannon fodder or whatever. But we can
We
use
can use
those
that
guns.
talent.
Yes, we can use that talent. So I would encourage all of the kids out there who love guns and the people, the 40 and 50-year-old people who like to shoot guns, there's a place in the military for you.
That's good. I
Well,
like that.
Yeah.
Well, there's the military and maybe the burn homes too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
See,
they,
and I think probably one of the reasons that the Second Amendment will not ever be changed is that you feel more protected if you. I don't own any guns,
I don't either.
but you feel more protected if you have them. You know what I mean?
Did
in
you
your
hear
home.
what he said?
Okay,
He does not own a gun.
and
And
okay.
everybody out there is shaking because in their boots, from what? We have the police department. We have the military.
I
We
don't
have-
own a handgun, but I do have a shotgun, and my husband has taught me many things. But this is what he told me: I don't have to. All I have to do is put myself up against the wall, and he said, "Just aim."
And just and it'll push you through the wall. The gun goes
He said
away.
it'll stop them from coming at me. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
So that's all I can go by.
And with that, this has been an interesting conversation, but we must bring this segment of the In My Opinion show to a close. This is Ronald Berry Robinson and friends saying until next time, stay focused.